Model trains are expensive, and they always have been. The first recorded layout was built for royalty. This $87 Lionel set from 1950, adjusted for inflation in 2019, is $952. This $27 Tyco set from 1972, adjusted, is $169 in 2019. You may be looking to get into or expand in the hobby, and the sticker shock just smacks you in the face. But there are affordable ways to get into this hobby if you use a bit of strategy and pack a bit of patience. Now, I've gone over tips and tricks for saving money in the hobby, but I've never done a full-blown strategy from going zero to layout without causing catastrophic damage to your bank account. We're doing that today. Hey everybody, my name's Jimmy. Welcome to Coffee and Trains. Today I'm still drinking some store brand coffee today. That's what I got in the machine today. If you want to tell me what kind of coffee you are drinking and have it featured just like these guys right here, you can do that in the comments below, and you might see your comment on an episode of Coffee and Trains. So, oh, by the way, I kind of had the wrong end of a door hit me in the face right there, so that's what that is. You might see that for a few episodes. Cheers, guys. Let's start at zero. Your model railroad consists of an idea in your head. You need to get started, which more than likely means you're going to need a starter set. There's a couple of things to consider when purchasing a starter set, and I'm not just talking about the scale of the starter set, though that is important. The main thing that you need to look at is what powers it and what kind of track it uses. In terms of power, you need to look at if the set is DC or DCC. The majority of sets in N and HO scale are DC, with a couple of them being DCC sprinkled in here and there. O scale, you're looking mainly at Lionel, and modern Lionel sets have locomotives with their own wireless remote control. You can find starter sets beginning in the $120 range in HO and N scale. O gauge is more expensive. The cheapest one you can usually find is between $200 and $300. Bachmann and Lionel are going to give you a lot of variety in those sets. Bachmann for HO and N scale, and Lionel for O gauge. There are also a lot of starter sets for G, Z, and T gauge, that's the little tiny one, as well as some other ones from various other companies. Other manufacturers of HO and N scale sets are Walthers, Pico, Hornby, Kato, and Lionel for HO. But those are not as good a quality as their O-gauge stuff. When you're looking at the power system, you also need to look at the locomotives. Are the locomotives standard DC, DCC ready, or DCC equipped? Most lower-end train sets will have DC-only locomotives, which means it takes a significant amount of modification to make them DCC. The exception being Lionel, where all sets have remote control with sound. Walthers and Kato locomotives are typically DCC ready, Walthers for HO scale and Kato for N scale, which means they're easily able to be converted to DCC just by installing a decoder in a plug or a slot that's in the locomotive. For track type, there are several as it comes in sets, and they are typically ones that have a pre-attached roadbed. Bachmann has Easy Track, Lionel has Fast Track, Kato has Unitrack, Walther also has Power Lock Track. But that's not nearly as available in terms of different types of pieces as others. If you want to use these tracks, you need to look at their ecosystem. You don't want to have to rebuy track if you don't have to. Now, you may be switching to a non-roadbed attached track, and that's a whole different deal. Bachmann has two types of Easy Track in HO scale. They have the steel alloy track and the nickel silver track. These are easily discernible by their roadbed color, the steel alloy being a black roadbed and the nickel silver being a gray roadbed. Now, all of their N-scale stuff is nickel silver with a gray roadbed. Now, in my opinion, Kato Unitrack is the best track system for both N and HO scale. It is more expensive, but it holds up very well, and there is a terrific ecosystem of support parts, more so than in HO scale though. Easy Track is solid, but the roadbed does look a bit too plasticky compared to things like Unitrack and Fast Track. Okay, so you have a starter set. What now? You're probably going to want more. More track, more trains, some buildings. This is where you'll need to look at what you want to do first. Do you just want to get trains running, or do you want to start going into building a layout so that you can do scenery, or do you want to really get into operations? This is going to change throughout your hobby journey, but figure out what you want for now and make a list. You really need to know where to find things on a budget. This is an HO scale 2-bay hopper that I picked up for $8 at a train show. This is one of 3 in-scale tank cars that I purchased 3 for $40 at a train show. And this is an O-gauge Lionel steam engine that I picked up with rolling stock, buildings, and a circle of track with power for $100 at a charity auction. These are not deals you will find every day, but they are ones that you have to be on the lookout for. Look for train shows in your area or a reasonable driving distance and save some cash for them. Cash works best for haggling. Scan eBay and local sources for various items. I have a ton of eBay alerts that I get every day to see if there's any deals on stuff that I like. Estate sales can also be huge places to find trains. There's even the occasional entire model railroad that you can buy on sale. I have seen it before where people have picked up an entire 4x8 layout and driven home with it. If you're building on a budget, your initial strategy should be opportunistic. Sign up for emails from various online hobby shops, look through eBay and sales sections of websites, check out those clearance corners at your local hobby shop if you're lucky enough to have one. When building a rolling stock fleet or stocking your layout with buildings, these places though are gold mines. While we're on websites, Amazon can do in a pinch, but it's almost never the cheapest place to go when looking for items. For new items, many manufacturers have tiers of items based on detail. Walthers has Trainline, Mainline, and Proto. Atlas has Trainman, Master, and Classic. Scale Trains has Operator, Rivet Counter, and Museum Quality. Plus, I think they're adding Exact Rail and Fox Valley models, and those are all going to fit in there too. The list goes on. Learn these tiers and you can know where to look for affordable items from manufacturers. Now, typically the middle tier is where the most money is in models for these manufacturers. This is the main lines and the master lines. Scale Train's Rivet Counter is a bit of an oddball because it's high detail but priced as a mid-tier comparatively, and it has a hyper-detailed limited upper tier called Museum Quality, so it's a bit different. Once you've figured out this, you need to strategize where to put your money for your enjoyment. Do you want to focus it on locomotives, rolling stock, or layout items? One big thing that helps me that you actually might not expect, especially with locomotives, is pre-ordering. I can reserve a locomotive for free and mark the date that the locomotive will be available and can save money for that date. Yes, it requires patience, but it gives you a goal to save up for. When I was a kid, I grew up abusing the layaway system at my local hobby shop. I bought so much train stuff on layaway. You can treat pre-orders the same way. You do run into the risk of the pre-order not being made, but most of the time a pre-order is made. Although I am waiting on one from Athearn that's in its 3rd year. But overall, I've gotten all my pre-orders. Okay, so let's go back over what we have. First, pick a starter set that has the right power, track, and locomotive for how we want to start. Remember, your track may change, but if you get into a system that's really good, it may not change. Be opportunistic in looking for deals to build up your collection. Learn the tiers of model trains and accessories from manufacturing and utilize pre-orders as a budgeting method. One thing to remember is that a lot of hobbies we enjoy are not cheap, but with some hard work, patience, and discipline, you can get what you want out of them. Also remember that those massive collections and layouts you see in the magazines, they weren't bought and built overnight. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.